Hi everyone, it's Amanda. Today I'm going to be doing a weekly reading wrap up. There are some really good ones and all of these were 4 stars or more. So buckle in. These are some great books. We have romance and YA, contemporary and fantasy. I'm all across the board this week. I really wanted to read some YA fantasy this week, but I also wanted my traditional adult romance as well. I'm gonna start off with my favorite book that I read this week, just because I want people to watch this specific part, because I love this book so much and I feel like it needs hype. Even though it has some hype, it needs more, and that is most certainly The Spanish Love Deception. This is so good. I think this might be my favorite book of 2021. I know we have Longshot sitting right here. He's staring at me. He's like, girl, did you just say what I think you said? I'm sorry, I love you. But this book was also so good. I can't decide. The Hating Game meets On Honeymooners. That is the pitch, okay? So this one follows Catalina and Aaron, and they both work together in the same office. They're both team leads, and so they work together a lot in meetings and stuff like that, and they do not get along whatsoever. Catalina thinks that Aaron hates her. She's just always getting a bad vibe around him, and he just has this attitude with her. He's pretty stone cold. He doesn't really laugh or smile or anything like that. He's just super like, I don't care. And then he also finds her insufferable. Like, she's always just so happy and talkative, and he's just like, oh my gosh. So that's kind of the premise there. But then he overhears her talking about needing a date to her sister's wedding because she just really wants to not go alone because her ex is gonna be there. It's in Spain, her whole family's gonna be there, and she really just wants to go there looking as happy as possible, just because she's had this lingering event over her head that you learn about more as the book goes on. And I think it would be a spoiler for me to tell you about it, so I'm not going to, but it has to do with her ex, and she thinks that bringing a man with her will prove that she's moved on, you know, and then her career will show that she's happy, and just her overall demeanor. So she really needs a date, but she's not really dating because she doesn't really want to right now. So he overhears that, and he proposes that he will be her date out of nowhere, and she's like, as if, basically. She's like, no way, you're the last man that I would ever take to Spain with me to meet my family and be my date. But lo and behold, they do end up having a deal. She does something for him in return. So he really wants a date to this fundraiser event that he has. And it's where like the girls bid on guys for fundraising, and he really wants her to win because he just doesn't want to deal with other girls. It is so cute. When I tell you, if you're into fake dating, the beginning of the book, I was a little bit nervous because it jumps right into the action. Like, you don't really get any backstory. So I was a little bit worried about the character development because it literally starts with the sentence, "I'll be your date to the wedding." Words I had never, not even in my wildest dreams, and trust me, I had a vivid imagination, conceived of hearing from that deep and rich tone reached my ears. I mean, it just jumps you right in, but I was a little nervous because I thought, oh my gosh, this is gonna just be like very flat and surface level. No, it really does dive deep into them. The whole entire book, it is a chunky one, but it's so worth it. The banter is so entertaining in this one. I literally think it's my favorite rom-com that I've ever read. And I know I just said that about It Happened One Summer, but I take it back. This one takes the slot. The banter in here is everything. The tension and the chemistry that the characters have is off the charts. It's because it's slow burn, okay? It's not going to give you what you want right away. And that's why when it does happen, you are believing it every step of the way. You are just pining after their romance. Please read this book. It was obviously a 6-star, 5-star, you know, all the things. The family in here was really good. The setting in Spain was really fun. And just all of the tropes were so well done. There was the one bed trope. There was the fake dating. We also have pining after you forever. We have so many good tropes in here. I can't even touch on them all. But my favorite thing I think about this book was that it did make me laugh, and I just really love when books can do that, because I find it really hard because I don't know, I just don't laugh a lot. I can cry a lot, but laughing takes more from a book for me. So I really enjoyed this. I laughed a lot in this. It was just such a fun time, and it made me happy, and that's really all I'm looking for with a book. I just really want to be happy happy. I want to ship these characters, and I really loved Catalina and Aaron. I highly recommend this. It's such a good getaway. Next, I picked up Small Favors. This is a YA fantasy with a touch of horror as well. And what can I say? I really loved it. I rated it 4 stars. I didn't love it as much as House of Salt and Sorrows by the same author, so I just rated it a 4 star. I think a 4.5 is also probably good, but I just didn't like it quite as much. I found it a tiny bit boring, but not so much that I didn't enjoy it. It was just such a quiet book. That's all I can really say. Creepy, quiet, and also having some important topics. It doesn't stray away from those themes of humanity, and I really, really loved that aspect of the book. It's about this small town that is kind of not in civilization. They're spread apart from everyone else by these woods, and in the woods it is said that there are these creatures that will hunt you and your fears, and that is really creepy. It's way more creepy than it sounds even. Her writing style just has this way of getting into your bones and really creeping you out. Like, I'm not kidding when I say these things are creepy. I was thoroughly creeped out reading this, and especially in like the first half, I was just really creeped out. It has a lot of storyline, even though it doesn't. And I know that makes no sense, but if you've read this book, I feel like you get what I'm trying to say. But anyway, this book follows the Downings, and Ellery really wants to venture outside of her role as a woman, and she wants to be the beekeeper of her family. The bees are really important in their family, and she wants to keep care of them, but that's kind of like the man's role in the household. But her twin brother actually is just off doing whatever he wants to do, and he's not really stepping up to the role. So she is able to kind of make her way there and be kind of the head of the household for her younger siblings. And one day, strange things just start happening in the town, and people are accusing people of things that they didn't do. Things are ransacked. There's weird animals forming, like with 3 legs and stuff. There's things disappearing that are important. Just small things that set people off. And then this turns into this rolling ball of events that leads to her mother actually getting super, super burned in this fire that was set by somebody in the town, and she has to go get help in the hospitals that are all the way across the woods. So Ellery has to step up and take over the family and take care of the bees and everything like that. And there's a lot more going on in this story. I just don't want to give it all away. And there's also a little bit of a romance going on with this really unreliable guy. We aren't sure how to trust him or if we should trust him at all. And that kind of comes to fruition as well. It's just really fun. If you think that sounds good, I highly suggest picking it up. If you like Rory Power or any of those other creepy books with those vibes, you're gonna love this. I really thought it was a strong second book. Next, we have The Ghost We Keep by Mason Deaver. This is a YA contemporary that follows a whole lot of grief and loss. I knew that going in, but I didn't know how much. It really is just all about grief. There's no plot to it except that. So definitely know that going in if you're interested. It follows Liam, and they've been having a really hard time after their brother died. Their friends are kind of not being the nicest, and they're just going through what a lot of teenagers do coming of age, but it's also just really hard because they don't know how to deal with their emotions or really get past their brother dying. So they end up becoming friends with their brother's best friend. They both grieve together, and I thought it was going to be a romance, but it ended up being so much more than that, and not a romance in any way, shape, or form. It ended up really being heartwarming, and the author's note broke me in the end. I think that for the age demographic, this will be such a heartbreaking story and such a relatable story. But I will say there are a lot of trigger warnings in this. There is self-harm and just grief in general, but I found it to be really real and relatable. It's a really good YA contemporary, and I would recommend it if you're into that genre. Next, I picked up The Wrong Heart by Jennifer Hartman. This is Jennifer Hartman's newest release. It just came out literally this week, I think 2 days ago, and I just found out about it today, and I decided to just read it today because because I love her so much. She wrote Still Beating and Lotus, which are on some of my recent reads. I'll try to link one up in the cards and down below, but I loved those books. I gave them 5 and 4 stars. So I was really expecting good things with this one and I was not disappointed. I'm still unsure of my rating. I think it's a 4. I'm still kind of letting it sink in because I didn't like the beginning all that much, but I really did end up liking the middle and end. But I really liked it. Now beware, there are a lot of trigger warnings with her books. She writes dark romance and there's always a lot of triggering things like self-harm, depression, grief, stuff like that. So just beware of that as well. But this one follows a woman who loses her husband on their anniversary. They were going out to eat and she gets her purse stolen and he goes after the guy and he ends up getting hit by a truck and dying. And then he was also an organ donor, so his heart is in another man, and she actually reaches out to the man just to kind of talk to him. She doesn't want like a romantic relationship or anything, but she just wanted to talk to him just because she's curious. And so that's kind of the premise there, but there's also more to the story because she's been grieving so much that she ended up trying to take her own life, and that's also in the book, so beware of that. There is a graphic scene. And then she ends up in this kind of therapy group that they put you in when you've gone to the hospital for that. And she ends up being this guy who's pretty stone cold. This man, he just does not like her because she emulates very much a positive personality. Even though she's been through so much, she still radiates good energy. And when she walks into a room, you can feel that. And so everyone's kind of really liking her, and he's just like intrigued by her, but he doesn't want to be. He hates life. He's basically just like, my life is terrible. He's had a really hard past. He was in foster care. His mother abused him. And so he's never really trusted women at all. He quite frankly hates them because of his mother and his relationship with her. So he's finding it really hard to open up. Him and her get together and they have really hot chemistry, guys. Hot, 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 hot. Jennifer Hartman, I will say, is one of my favorite smut writers. She really does it so well. I don't really know what dictates a good smut writer, but it's obviously the feelings that you're having while you're reading, and I just feel like Jennifer Hartman really does it. I don't know what she's doing, but she does it, and it's really hot. So if you like that, you like dark romance with smut, then I highly recommend picking up a Jennifer Hartman book. Still Beating is my favorite. But this one was just so surprising. I didn't like the beginning, so I wasn't sure I was gonna like it. And I didn't like the idea of like going after a man with your husband's heart. I just don't know. I thought it was a little cheesy, but I ended up loving it. Next, I did pick up One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston once again. And I again did not finish it, so it's at the end of this video because of that. But I feel like I can still count it because I clearly do not like this book. I didn't give it a rating because I don't think it's fair, because I knew I wouldn't really like this book because it has the time traveling kind of stuck in time trope going on, and I hate that in books usually. So I knew that going into it, it was going to be something that I probably wouldn't like. But not only did I not like that aspect, but I also really didn't like how many things are going on in this book. And I know everyone's been saying that, but it's true. There's just so much going on. I wish it was just a pancake shop and a little romance and a splash of found family. But instead you get like this true crime kind of thing going on as well, and then just so much. There's just like so much going on, and I couldn't follow it all. And then you have so many characters and their backstories, and like one of them's psychic, one of them is a recluse, and then you have so many subplots, and I just found it really boring. And I usually don't say that about books. I can do a boring book, but I just found this so boring. I really do want to pick it up again on audio because I think the audio is going to be a lot better. I was listening to it on audio recently, and it was a lot better than physically. So I don't know what that says, but I usually don't like audio, so I'm surprised. And I did get 3/4 of the way in. I don't know if I said that. That's my thoughts on One Last Stop, but that completes this video. I really hope you enjoyed or found one more book that you want to add to your TBR. As always, subscribe down below for more bookish content, like this video, and have a wonderful day wherever you are. Bye guys!